Hi, I'm Kat at Play Games, and I built a sort of pensioner's bungalow in Paralives. I started out by flattening off the terrain and just making it as easy as possible to build on, and I made basically a square. At first I thought I was going to put a little separate chimney on the side, but I ended up taking that off because I used one of the actual chimneys. I tried quite hard to get the roof to fit correctly. I did end up moving it around quite a lot as I went because I couldn't see what I was doing for the most part. But in the end I snapped it to the grid and it was fine, and then I added a chimney on the back and decided to get rid of that side piece. At first I thought I could make the house a little bit bigger and use it, but I ended up just taking it off because it wouldn't work on the little plot. I put in a nice little front door in a dark wood and a couple of windows. I added a couple at the back as well, just so that I could see roughly what the house was going to be like, and then I worked on the floor plan. The idea was that this was a bungalow for a pensioner with maybe a care worker as well staying. So I put in one bathroom which was attached to the pensioner bedroom, and I put in a little guest bedroom as well that was for the carer. I wanted to make something quite old-fashioned, so there's kind of a lot of little nooks and crannies and it's a little bit strange on the inside but still quite small. I gave it a brick on the outside and I put in some interior doors which I started out in one colour and decided to make them darker. I added a little window at the pensioner bedroom and I decided to go for a dark floor colour as well. There was a little bit of weird light clipping on one wall that was making the brick from outside turn up instead of the wallpaper, and I just had to put up with that all the way through. For the bathroom I decided it would just have white tile on both the floor and the walls, and that it would be a couple of different textures just to vary it. And I wanted a really old person style wallpaper in the main area, so I did this sort of repeating flower pattern, and then a sort of less busy beige one in both bedrooms. I put in a blind on that bathroom window and pulled it down so that it was almost all the way over the glass. And then I added the little toilet with the mat and the fuzzy seat because it felt like what you would get in an old person's house. I put in a bath with a shower attached to the wall. I forget how big the items in Paralives are, and it took up a huge amount of space, so I had to switch the door a little bit. I added a wall sink that I wasn't entirely sure was going to end up functional because of the complete lack of space I had in here, but I did shuffle it as far along as possible from the door. I decided I wanted a mirror over the sink, so I got as close to a medicine cabinet style one as I could, and then I put in the usual little bits of clutter you'd find in the bathroom, like the towels and the toilet roll holder. The point of this house was to use the medical clutter stuff, so I added a grab bar over the bath. That was just the first of the items I ended up using. I put a little walker in the corner of the bedroom. I just sort of changed the swatch a little bit to make it more yellow than green to match the room. I put in a little cane, although I did move that later I think, and I quickly went back to the bathroom and put in a mat by the bath so that they wouldn't slip getting out. And I just added a little painting of a ship over the top of the toilet there as well. I went for the main bedroom next, so I already had that walker in the corner. I decided to add a single bed pretty much pushed into the wall. It ended up being a very tight space because the bed was huge as well. I put in a little dresser at the end there into a small space, and I wanted some artwork on the wall opposite it, so I just got a little landscape. I wanted a little rug at the end of the bed, so I got this circular one with a sun pattern and made it a bit more yellow to match the bed. And I wanted some curtains, so I did end up shuffling the window along a little bit so it wouldn't clip with the bed. I moved the cane onto a different wall and I just put some sort of old-fashioned looking curtains on there in the yellow. I went for a bunch of clutter on top of the dresser, so I wanted to use more of the medical stuff. I gave them a little pill box and I changed the colours for sort of night and day. I put in a hot water bottle on the bed as well. I wanted a little med kit and some bandages and just a couple of different bits there to make it look like they needed all of their medication. And I decided to move on to the kitchen. So I went for like a green and white and wood colour scheme in here to go with the leaves on the wallpaper. I stretched out one single cabinet between the fridge and the oven and just changed the colour swatch on that a little bit. I put up some wall cabinets in the same green. I stretched one little one across in the corner. I put a slightly taller one across the middle, and then I wanted a range hood on the end, so I put that down and added a little cabinet on top of it to make it look built in. I needed a sink and I didn't want to use too much counter space because I knew I'd be cluttering, so I put another one of those wall ones in, and I just added curtains on the window in here as well, but I tried to match them to the sort of pink in the flowers on the wallpaper. I added a little bit of counter clutter, so it was mostly stuff for making like tea and toast. I put in a little apron on the wall and a tray with all of the items I wanted. And then I moved on to the entryway, so I put a big mirror by the door and I decided I wanted a dining table. I got a sort of like basic, oldish looking one. I probably could have changed the texture, but forgot to do it. I added some little uncomfortable looking dining chairs and tried to match the colour on the wall again, but didn't quite get it right. And then I moved on to the living area, so I put a TV console in the corner on an angle and I put a little old school TV on the top of it. I added a radiator in the corner and then I put in a sort of old looking plush sofa in the brown. I stuck in a little side table next to it. I debated bringing it away from the wall but decided it was better off where it was. I added a couple of custom pillows to the sofa. And then I wanted some clutter on the side table. I tried to use the newspaper at first, but it was huge, so I put it on the dining table. And I just added a book and then a little lamp as well to go with it. I moved things around a little bit to make them fit better. I kind of wish I'd been able to find a pair of glasses, but I don't think there's one in there. I realised at this point that I had no lights, so I put a couple of sort of glass lamp type ones in most of the rooms. I still completely forgot to light the bathroom, so that's got the window and nothing else. And then I decided I had a ceiling fan in the sitting room. I did move the lamp eventually to go underneath the ceiling fan directly. I put a cane on the wall here as well, and I just temporarily put in some medical clutter that was for the carer room. And I grabbed a rug and some flowers for the table as well. I put a little bit of artwork up here that's just a landscape of the town, and I gave them a little clock as well. The wallpaper is really busy, but I still wanted some decoration above the dining table, so I put this sort of wicker thing up. And then I decided I needed a mat by the front door, which I ended up making a green and just putting goodbye on because it's on the inside. I thought I wanted a floor lamp in the entryway, but I put it down and then I tried putting a plant next to it. I love this one, but it's enormous, so I had to size it down a lot and stop it clipping. And I decided it looked too strange with the lamp, so I actually put that in the sitting room in the end and just left the plant alone. And then I moved on to the little care workers room. So I added a bed that looked a little bit more temporary and it was still pushed against the wall. And I put in a side table that I stretched out a little bit so that I could clutter it. I added the sort of open pills that the pensioner isn't allowed to get to, another first aid kit. I put some drawers up there as well and a little lamp. And I just moved stuff around until I liked how it looked on that table. I really wanted to use as much of the medical clutter as possible, and seeing as this is the care workers' room, I sort of added a few little bits that they might need to do their job. I put in a big old looking dresser in the corner. It wasn't able to size down, and I wanted to put curtains on the window which then clipped. So I did have to move the door of that room a little bit to make everything fit right. I put in a rug in here as well on a bit of an angle like all the others. It was just a sort of looks like it's been in the family for generations rug, and I put a basic bit of artwork over the bed and decided to go outside. The terrain pin is a little bit limited, so I had to put like a dark concrete up to the door. I put in a few little bushes around it with pinkish flowers. I just used a mix of bigger ones and a few little bushes as well with a slightly different flower in a slightly different shade. And I wanted some climbing plants as well, so I did one with flowers and one that was just the sort of vines and added some behind the flower one. I put in some matching planters on the two front windows and just shuffled them in the right place. And I decided on one really big tree on that side edge as well. With that I was done, so enjoy the screenshots. please consider a like and subscribe.